What happens when a black CEO gets stopped at the gate of his own mansion, and his white neighbor tells security he doesn't live there? They say money changes everything, but Donovan Ellison knew better. He'd been rich for years. Wealth didn't protect you from everything. Not from assumptions, not from looks, and certainly not from disrespect. It was a little after 7 p.m. when his flight landed at Phoenix Sky Harbor. The sunset lit up the sky in bands of dusty gold and faded orange as his driver weaved through traffic, heading north toward Paradise Valley. Donovan sat in the back seat, head resting against the tinted window, replaying moments from the investor summit in San Diego. His company, Modulus Systems, had just locked down a multi-million-dollar federal contract. He should have been celebrating, and he had, briefly. But right now, he just wanted to get home, take off his shoes, and hug his daughter before she fell asleep. As the black Tesla Model X turned onto Desert Crest Drive, Donovan finally relaxed. These were his streets. His neighbors were doctors, former athletes, a retired senator. He knew the families, knew their routines. Everyone knew him, or at least they should have. Pulling up to the massive front gate of his own estate, modern architecture, stone and glass everywhere, a curved driveway that looked like it belonged in a luxury car commercial. Donovan was already reaching for his access card. The gate didn't open. Instead, two uniformed men stepped out of the small booth off to the right, blocking the vehicle. One was tall and wiry, maybe mid-30s. The other, younger, stocky, trying too hard to look serious. Both wore black tactical polos with the security company logo, Sentinel Risk Group, stitched in silver thread. The taller one tapped the front of the hood, motioning for the driver to stop. Donovan lowered his window. "Good evening," he said, calm and polite. "Donovan Ellison, this is my residence." The tall guard narrowed his eyes. "Can we see some ID, sir?" "No problem," Donovan replied, already pulling out his wallet. "Also have a gate key card if that helps." The younger guard stepped closer, peering into the car. His eyes darted between Donovan and the driver, then back again. "Sorry, sir," the tall one said after glancing at the ID. "We weren't informed anyone would be arriving at this hour." Donovan raised an eyebrow. "I live here. I don't need to give notice to come home." The younger one leaned down, arms crossed. "You said your name's Donovan Ellison?" "Yes." "We're going to need to verify that with the property manager," he said, not even hiding the skepticism in his voice. Donovan tilted his head. "Look again at the ID. You see the address? That's this house. Also," he reached over to the car's dashboard. "Security footage? I've entered this gate dozens of times. All you have to do is check the camera archives." But neither guard moved. They just exchanged a quick glance, silent. Then the younger one stepped back, speaking into his walkie. Donovan sighed and leaned back in his seat. "You've got to be kidding me." The driver looked over nervously, but Donovan held up a hand. "It's fine," he said. "Let them do whatever they feel they need to do." He wasn't going to lose his cool, not here, not yet. But something about their hesitation told him this wasn't just about procedure. 5 minutes passed, then 10. Still no movement at the gate. Donovan checked his watch, 7:38 p.m. Inside the Tesla, the air felt heavy now. His daughter was probably already in her pajamas, asking where Daddy was. The house was only 100 feet away. He could see the faint glow of the porch lights, the outline of the garage, the giant Palo Verde tree by the fountain. But all of it might as well have been a mile away. He lowered the window again. "Gentlemen," he said, voice calm but a little firmer now, "I've given you my ID, my key card, and even pointed you toward the security footage. What's the holdup?" The tall guard scratched the back of his neck. "Still waiting on the property manager, sir. It's protocol." Donovan's jaw shifted, but he kept it together. "You're aware this is my home, correct?" "We understand that's your claim, yes." "My claim?" The younger one spoke again. "We were told to be cautious tonight. A neighbor called in earlier about a suspicious vehicle moving through the cul-de-sac." Donovan blinked. "You're telling me my car with my plates in my driveway is suspicious?" "Sir, it's just precautionary." Before he could finish, another voice cut through the quiet evening. "Oh my God, what is going on out here?" Donovan turned toward the voice. There she was. Leaning casually against the stone wall just across the street, wineglass in hand, was Tiffany Blake. Late 30s, long blonde hair pulled into a sleek ponytail, yoga pants tucked into fuzzy designer slippers. Her beige tracksuit looked like it cost more than some people's rent. She stared at Donovan like she was studying a puzzle she couldn't quite solve. "I heard voices," she said, taking a sip, "and I saw the car pull up. I told you earlier, didn't I? I've never seen him before. I live right there, and I definitely would have noticed someone like that." Donovan raised his eyebrows, confused for a split second. "You're the one who called in the suspicious vehicle?" Tiffany blinked innocently. "I mean, I didn't say anything was wrong, just something felt off. We have to look out for each other, right?" The younger guard nodded. "She confirmed she's never seen you around here." Donovan let out a short, dry laugh. "So now she's your source of truth? That's your due diligence?" Tiffany stepped forward, clearly emboldened. "I've lived here for 6 months. I make it a point to know who my neighbors are. You're not exactly low profile." "I've lived here for 3 years, Donovan said, staring directly at her. "My name is on every document tied to this property, title, taxes, utilities. And if you make it a point to know your neighbors, you've clearly failed." She gave a tight smile. "No need to get defensive. You don't have to be rude." Donovan looked back at the guards. "Is this seriously where we are now? She says she's never seen me, so that's the basis for detaining me outside my own house?" "It's not detainment, sir," the tall one replied quickly. "We're just following up." "Following up would have been asking me a question. This is a standstill." The younger one tilted his head. "We're trying to keep the neighborhood safe." Donovan leaned out the window slightly. "I am the neighborhood." He didn't raise his voice. He didn't curse, but the weight of those words made both guards shift on their feet. Tiffany scoffed, stepping back toward her side of the street. "Well, I'm sure it'll all get sorted out soon." She turned without waiting for a reply, wineglass swinging by her side. But the chill she left behind stayed long after she disappeared into her house. Donovan watched the gate, unmoving. His fingers tapped quietly on the leather armrest. The silence was louder now, not because nothing was happening, but because everything was. Every second that passed felt like a challenge, not just to his authority, but to his identity. He reached into his bag, pulled out his phone, and dialed. After 2 rings, a voice answered. "Hey, Mr. Ellison?" It was Renee, his assistant, and the one person who could always cut through red tape. "Renee, I need you to call the property manager. Apparently the guards outside my house don't believe I live here." "What? Are you serious right now?" "Dead serious. They're saying they need verification before I can enter. I've shown them ID, access card, everything." There was a short pause. "I'll call him now. Hold tight." He hung up. The younger guard was still staring through the windshield, arms crossed. The tall one stood closer to the gate controls, pacing slightly like he was trying to look busy, but the next voice Donovan heard didn't come from either of them. "Wow, you're still out here?" Tiffany was back, now in a different pair of shoes, same wine glass. "Did they at least offer you water? It's a bit warm out tonight," she said with a fake chuckle, as if she hadn't just tried to paint him as a stranger minutes earlier. "I'm fine," Donovan said, eyes still on the guards. Tiffany took a few steps closer. "No offense, but if you really lived here, wouldn't you have, like, a remote to open the gate or something?" Donovan didn't answer. "Also," she added, sipping, "I don't think I've ever seen a Tesla parked in that driveway. Your car must be new, huh?" He turned his head slowly, looked directly at her. "You've lived across the street for 6 months, and in those 6 months, I've pulled into this driveway, in this exact car, at least 40 times. Tiffany shrugged. "Maybe I just didn't notice." Donovan smirked. "That's the part that concerns me." She tilted her head. "Excuse me?" "You didn't notice the black man pulling into the only black-owned mansion on this block. But tonight, suddenly you see me, and I'm a threat." Tiffany blinked, taken aback. "I never said threat. That's your word." "No, but it's what you meant," Donovan replied. "You saw me and assumed I didn't belong, and you passed that fear onto them." He motioned to the guards, who were more than happy to act on it. The tall guard looked uncomfortable now, shuffling slightly. The younger one stayed still. "I was being cautious," Tiffany replied, her tone sharper. "Women live here, families. I don't have the luxury of guessing wrong." Donovan leaned out of the window again. You don't get to call it caution when it's built on assumption. That's not safety. That's profiling. Tiffany rolled her eyes. Ugh, are we really doing this? Can't someone be concerned without getting accused of being racist every 5 seconds? People can be concerned, Donovan said, but when concern only shows up when I show up, we've got a deeper problem. She looked ready to say something else, but her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, frowned, then turned back toward her house again. This neighborhood used to be peaceful, she muttered, walking away. Donovan leaned back in his seat, staring at the gate. The guards weren't saying much now. The air felt tense, like everyone was waiting for someone else to make the next move. Then his phone buzzed. A text from Renee. Property manager just called them directly. You should be cleared now. And sure enough, the gate finally began to open, inching sideways with a soft whir. The younger guard stepped forward. Sorry about the delay, sir. You're clear to enter. Donovan looked at him through the open window. No, I was always clear. He didn't wait for a reply. The Tesla crept forward through the gate as it opened just wide enough for the car to pass. He didn't look back, but the sting of the entire exchange followed him down the driveway like a shadow that refused to leave. The tires rolled slowly across the smooth stone of the driveway. The gate clanged shut behind him, like it was locking him out instead of letting him in. Donovan didn't head straight inside. He told the driver to leave the car near the fountain. The man hesitated at first, unsure whether he should wait, but Donovan gave him a small nod and a thank you. That was enough. He stood still for a moment in front of the massive glass double doors, briefcase in one hand, jacket slung over his shoulder. His own home, tall windows, soft recessed lighting, silent but warm, stared back at him like a stranger. He looked up toward the house across the street. No movement, but he knew she was watching. Inside, everything looked untouched, spotless. His housekeeper, Luce, always made sure it felt like a 5-star hotel when he returned from a trip. Fresh orchids on the marble counter, lemon water chilling in the fridge, a candle burning in the front entry, cinnamon and something expensive. He should have felt comfort, but all he felt was tightness in his chest. His daughter's tiny shoes were by the stairs. A toy giraffe she loved had been left lying on its side in the hallway. Her voice echoed faintly in his mind. Daddy, watch me jump. He wanted to go upstairs, wanted to kiss her goodnight, tuck her in, ask about her day, but instead he stood in the middle of the foyer, phone in hand, unmoving. He pulled up the security app on his phone, scanned through the live camera feeds, everything normal. Then he checked the footage from the front gate. There it was, clear as day, the Tesla stopping, the guards approaching, him showing his ID, and Tiffany, her walking over, her smirk, her glass of wine, her words. He turned the volume up and listened. I've never seen him before, and trust me, I would have noticed. He let it play again. Trust me, I would have noticed. Donovan felt his throat tighten. It wasn't just the disrespect, it was the certainty, the arrogance. The way she said it, like it was truth, not opinion. Like her word defined reality. And the security guards? They believed her more than they believed the facts in front of their faces. His face, his ID, his name, his address. None of it mattered. She said he didn't belong. And that was all it took. Donovan finally moved. He set his briefcase down, took off his jacket, and walked toward the side hallway that led to his home office. He didn't sit at his desk. He just stood in front of the wall, staring at a framed photo from 3 years ago. The day he moved in. The day the final inspection passed, the lawn was finished, and he carried his daughter across the threshold. The same gate had been open. He remembered it. No questions that day, just keys, smiles, and celebration. He clenched his jaw, then pulled out his phone again. He dialed. Gordon, he said, when the head of the security company picked up. We need to meet. Gordon sounded confused at first. Mr. Ellison, I was just informed everything got resolved. The guys at the gate. Donovan cut him off. I want every member of the security team on site tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. sharp, courtyard. Of course, sir. Any particular reason? Just be there, all of you. He hung up. Donovan stood there for another minute, silent, still. Then he walked upstairs, finally ready to say goodnight to his daughter, and to the version of himself that used to believe showing proof was always enough. But what happened tomorrow morning, that would be something no one on his staff would ever forget. The next morning was quiet, too quiet for what was about to go down. The sun hadn't fully settled over Paradise Valley yet, and the air was still cool. Birds chirped like any other day, as if nothing unusual had happened the night before. But inside the Ellison estate, tension was heavy. At exactly 7:59 a.m., 6 black SUVs rolled into the courtyard, just behind the circular fountain. 5 guards stepped out, plus Gordon Rusk, the regional manager of Sentinel Risk Group. Gordon was in his mid-50s, stocky, red-faced, trying to catch his breath as he adjusted the buttons on his too-tight blazer. The others stood stiff, hands behind their backs, lined up in front of the fountain like they were reporting for inspection. Donovan watched them from the second-floor balcony above the front door. No words yet, just observation. He made them wait. 1 minute, 2. Then the door opened and he stepped out. No tie, no suit, just black slacks, a fitted gray polo, and the kind of quiet command that didn't need loud words to feel permanent. He walked slowly, deliberately, until he stood directly in front of them. No one spoke. He looked at Gordon first. You said this company was different, that you hire for integrity, professionalism, and cultural awareness. Yes, sir, Gordon replied, straightening up. That's the standard we hold. Donovan nodded slowly. Then explain last night. Gordon glanced sideways at the 2 guards from the gate, both now looking less sure of themselves than they did the night before. Donovan turned his focus to them. You were presented with ID, a key card, camera evidence, a client who clearly belonged here. He paused. And still you waited for a white woman across the street, a neighbor, not your supervisor, to tell you whether I should be let into my own home. The younger one, Garrett, his name tag said, opened his mouth like he wanted to explain, but Donovan raised his hand. No excuses. Garrett closed his mouth. I don't care if Tiffany Blake walks over in a ball gown carrying a Bible and a badge, Donovan continued. She does not control my property, and neither should her assumptions. He took a breath. I hired this firm to protect my family, my daughter, myself. That job requires more than muscle and radios. It requires judgment. The 5 guards shifted uncomfortably now. Gordon stepped forward, hands open. We reviewed the footage, sir, and I admit, the response wasn't up to our usual standards. I take full responsibility. I'll issue formal write-ups to the 2 officers involved. No, Donovan interrupted. You won't. Gordon froze. Sir? You won't issue anything, Donovan said, because as of this moment, your contract with me is terminated. All of you are dismissed, permanently. No one moved. He didn't flinch. Leave your badges and company equipment with Luce at the front desk, he said, nodding toward the house. By noon today, I expect not one uniform from Sentinel on my property. Garrett looked stunned. The tall guard, Russell, just stared at the ground. Gordon's mouth hung open. Mr. Ellison, we'd really appreciate a chance to correct this. You had your chance, Donovan said, last night, when I gave you every opportunity to do the right thing. Gordon nodded reluctantly. Understood. Donovan turned and walked away. No dramatic gestures, no yelling, just a quiet dismissal, and the kind of silence that carries more weight than 100 angry words. The security team left the way they came, slowly, silently, one vehicle at a time. Donovan didn't watch them go. He walked back into the house, straight into his office, and sat down. For the first time since the previous evening, he let his shoulders drop, let the tension leave his neck. He had made his point, but deep down, he knew this wasn't just about 5 guards or a nosy neighbor. It was about something bigger, because by that evening, the rest of the country would be watching too. The video hit social media that evening, and it spread fast. A neighbor 3 houses down, Jordan Kim, had a Ring camera pointed toward the front gate. Like most in the area, Jordan minded his business. But when his notifications pinged the night before, he checked the footage. What he saw made him pause. A black man, calm, professional, being questioned at the gate. A wine glass in a white woman's hand. Her tone, her body language, her casual certainty. Jordan clipped a 2-minute portion and posted it to his private account. No caption, just, this shouldn't happen to anyone, especially in their own driveway. By morning, the video had over 200,000 views. Then a local radio station reposted it. Then a podcast. Then a national blog. By noon, it was trending. No hashtags needed. It became known simply as the man at the gate. Comments flooded in. How many hoops does a black man have to jump through to prove he owns what he worked for? That wine glass woman knew exactly what she was doing. He handled it better than I would have. Respect. Within hours, people were asking questions. Who was the man in the video? Why wasn't he let in? Was that a security guard? Or a cop? Then came the moment Tiffany Blake couldn't resist. She went live. Clad in another beige sweatsuit, makeup on, hair done like it was a casual magazine shoot, she stood in her backyard and hit record. I just want to clear the air, she began, swiping her bangs behind her ear. People are spinning this story all wrong. I didn't accuse anyone. I expressed concern. I didn't recognize the man. It was dark. He was in a car I hadn't seen. All I did was tell the guards to double check, because safety comes first. She took a breath, then smiled. I believe in diversity. I've voted for diversity, but that doesn't mean we throw caution out the window. The comment section exploded in real time. You believe in diversity like I believe in time travel. No one asked you to speak, Tiffany. So you voted for diversity? Girl, what are you even saying? Just say you got caught being racist and log off. Within an hour, clips of her statement were remixed into skits, TikToks, and even songs. The phrase, I've voted for diversity, became a punchline. Meanwhile, Donovan stayed quiet. No interviews, no press statements. Until Tuesday morning, when he walked out of his front door, stood at the same gate, and posted a video to his own account. Nothing flashy, just him. No suit, no sunglasses, just truth. He spoke slowly, clearly. My name is Donovan Ellison. I'm a father, a husband, and the CEO of Modulus Systems, a company I built from scratch. Last Friday night, I was stopped outside my own home, questioned, and held back because someone decided I didn't look like I belonged. He paused. I didn't post the video, but I'm not mad that it's out there. I think people need to see how quickly you can go from neighbor to suspect without raising your voice or breaking the law. He turned slightly, showing the gate behind him. This gate was supposed to be for protection, but it became another barrier. One more reminder that no matter how much you build, buy, or achieve, someone out there is still waiting for a reason to deny you access. He ended with a quiet message. I'm not sharing this for sympathy. I'm sharing it because I have a daughter. And one day, she might come home from college and get stopped too. And I want her to know, we don't stay quiet. We don't apologize for existing. We show up, speak up, and move forward. The video passed 1 million views by sunset. But with attention came noise. Everyone had an opinion. Some defended Tiffany, others blamed the guards. A few questioned whether Donovan had overreacted. He read the comments, then closed the app, because the final word hadn't been spoken yet. That was coming tomorrow, and it would leave no room for doubt. The press conference wasn't planned. Donovan hated the idea of putting on a suit and standing behind a podium just to explain why he should be treated like a human being. But the pressure didn't go away. His inbox overflowed. News trucks parked 2 blocks away. Zoom lenses pointed toward his gate. The HOA even asked if he'd consider making a clarifying statement to ease neighborhood tensions. So he agreed. On one condition, he would speak his way. No city hall, no media filter, no podium, just his own front lawn and a single mic on a stand. By noon, a small crowd had gathered beyond the gate. Journalists, neighbors, even a few strangers from other parts of the valley who had driven in to support him. Inside, on the gravel courtyard where the security team had stood just days earlier, Donovan took a deep breath. He stepped up to the mic, looked out at the cameras and faces, and started. No one calls the fire department when a white man pulls into his own driveway. A few murmurs in the crowd. Silence followed. No one pauses to ask if a white man belongs in the car he's driving, or the house he's approaching, or the neighborhood he's walking through. He let the words land. But I've had to prove myself since I was 12. Prove that I wasn't stealing. Prove that I wasn't lying. Prove that I was just existing in peace. He glanced behind him at his house. I worked for every square inch of this home. I didn't inherit it. I built it, brick by brick, deal by deal, with everything I had. And still, a wine glass and a few assumptions were enough to stop me cold at my own gate. He looked into the cameras. I want to be very clear. This is not about hurt feelings. This is not about one woman's opinion or a security company's mistake. This is about the invisible system we all pretend not to see. The one that lets fear speak louder than facts. He paused, scanned the crowd. Some nodded. Some were just listening. This week, I didn't get angry. I didn't yell. I didn't raise a hand or break a thing. I stayed calm, collected, polite. He stepped back slightly, his voice softer now. And still, I wasn't believed. He pointed toward the neighborhood. That's what gets me. I could have screamed, caused a scene, gone viral for all the wrong reasons. But I chose silence. I chose control. I gave grace. Not because I had to, but because I've been here before. Too many of us have. His eyes returned to the front row, where Tiffany stood near the edge of the crowd, sunglasses on, lips tight. She hadn't spoken all week. I didn't share the video, he said, but I'm glad it exists, because now no one can pretend. Donovan looked at her directly now. And to anyone who thinks this was a misunderstanding, I hope you ask yourself why these misunderstandings always seem to land on the same people. He held up a small white envelope. This week, my company finalized a donation to the Phoenix Legal Advocacy Fund to support those who don't have cameras or money or 1 million followers to back them up. He placed the envelope on the mic stand. Because if this can happen to me, you better believe it happens to people with no voice at all. He stepped back, hands in his pockets. That's all I have to say. He turned to walk away, but then stopped. One last thing. He faced the cameras again. If you're more uncomfortable with me telling this story than with the fact that it happened, that says more about you than it ever could about me. And with that, he walked back inside. No Q&A, no follow-up. Just silence and truth. The crowd didn't applaud. They just stood still. People looked at each other differently afterward. Some whispered. Some stared at the ground. Even Tiffany, especially Tiffany. She left early. By the end of the week, she had deleted every social media account she had. And Donovan? He didn't watch the news. He spent his Saturday morning sitting on the living room floor, letting his daughter braid his hair with little plastic beads. She told him it looked like a warrior crown. He smiled, because that's exactly how he felt. Sometimes silence speaks volumes. But the truth? It hits harder when it's said out loud. If you're watching this and thinking, that's messed up, but I'm not part of the problem, ask yourself, would you have spoken up if you were at that gate? Change doesn't start in a courtroom or a headline. It starts when we stop excusing the small things that lead to big consequences. Don't wait until it's your friend, or your neighbor, or your boss, or your child. Speak up and mean it.